comment on an older video where I thrifted for only quality clothing. And that comment said, it is finally time for a part 2. And I think they were right. It's time to do this all over again. This was hands down one of the hardest videos that I think I ever made, mainly because it took so long to actually find the said quality clothing. And I spent a lot of time in that video going over what that actually looks like. And I've also made a follow-up video just showcasing what quality clothing in general looks and feels like. So if you need a little bit of a refresher course before we jump into this video, I'll leave a link down below to the 2 videos that feature those tips. But today we're gonna go forth and see what kind of quality we can find out and about. We are going into the fall time season, and I think fall tends to lean towards a little bit heavier clothing, which does mean quality is going to be attached to that if you find the right pieces. So yeah, let's see what we can get our hands on. Before we head out to the thrift store though, I do want to say a really quick shout out and thank you to VonV shoes for working with me on this video. This is the second time that I've worked with VonV, and I just can't say enough about them. I already featured them in a couple of my favorite videos. I already own the Margot Mary Janes in red, and if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know how obsessed I am with those shoes. They're just, not only are they great quality, but they are so comfortable and so stylish. And I feel like that's like 2 things that oftentimes you kind of have to sacrifice, comfort or style. I'm a major theme park goer as well as a professional thrifter, so I'm on my feet all the time. I am constantly walking around and just enjoying either the sights and the scenery or the dirty thrift stores. And 2 of those things require comfortable shoes. VonV is comfortable as well as super easy to clean, which is a huge benefit for me. This time around when VonV reached out to me, I decided to go for the 2-tone Margot Mary Janes. I love the shape of these. They are just so classic and so timeless. Knowing that I go to the theme parks so much and I live in Florida and it rains so much, I decided it was high time that I got some really good durable sneakers. These are the Urban sneaker sliders in mesh. They're in a beige tone, and so far, I absolutely love them. I have already worn them multiple times in the rain because hello, Florida life. They are so comfortable, easy to slip into. For me though, when you want to add in the like styling concept of it, I actually thrifted a baseball cap that is the same color as this. And I just have fallen in love with the fact that I feel like I can throw these on so quickly and throw the baseball cap on so quickly and still feel like I have like an element of style to going out and like exercising or, you know, getting my daily steps in or going to the theme parks. I just feel like I can marry those 2 things together so easily. They also were so kind enough to give me a 12% off coupon that I'm gonna share with you guys. I will leave it down below. It is Laura12 at checkout. Without further ado though, let's head out to the thrift store. Now you will quickly notice most of my thrifting gravitates towards vintage. This is just kind of a muscle reaction that I have. Like, it's kind of ingrained in me, but I will say 9 times out of 10, vintage is going to be the best quality that you can find. I love finding like old Target Mossimo brand. You can tell that they invested in good fabrics back in the day. It's evolved so much over the years and it's so sad to see happen, but it wasn't uncommon to find wool or cashmere kind of mixed into a lot of these older run-of-the-mill brands. I mean, could you imagine going into Target now? I should really check their website and see if they even have anything that is remotely close to this quality-wise, because yeah, back in the day, it definitely existed. I also love looking for any of the like older kind of preppy style brands. LL Bean is a good example. Even newer LL Bean, which I think this falls more into the new category, is still such good quality. I mean, 100% cotton. You got a cable knit vibe. If this was my size, I would pick it up in a heartbeat. But yeah, I think it just goes to show that like some of those kind of brands that you just would never expect are the ones that ultimately hold the quality. I absolutely loved this dress. Again, if it was my size, I would have picked it up. It is just so beautiful though, and the construction on it is really what draws me in. 100% silk. You can tell that they built intention into this dress. You have really good seams, you have a really good lining, everything just holds up so well. And of course it's vintage. That should really come as no surprise. It's Maggie London too, of all brands. I actually have this brand saved on my ThredUp little search engine too, because I love anything older Maggie London. The brand has definitely evolved over the years, but such a like classic quintessential 90s brand that you can still find the quality packed into it. This is another one, like I cannot reiterate enough, like vintage is where you're gonna find the quality. It really is what it boils down to. You can find it in other brands. The LL Bean was a great example, but this is a vintage United Colors of Benetton. It's a wool Angora blend. I will say wool Angora is definitely a matter of preference more than anything. Me personally, I'm not a fan of Angora. Not really something that I would put in my wardrobe, but again, the quality, it's there. I mean, it's just wild if you like kind of flip through the racks and compare the quality and just see how different like the newer brands are. I mean, look at that. It's just like the flimsiest thing in the world. These just, oh man, I cannot like, it just blows my mind when you compare some of these pieces. Like flimsy versus, you know, like a well-knit structured skirt. It's heartbreaking sometimes because yeah, the data is there in the thrift store, just how bad the newer product is. It blows my mind that people are still okay with buying some of these just literal garbage. Like it is garbage, some of these pieces that just end up in the thrift store. And when you compare it to these older brands that built product with integrity, I don't know, man. Like I hate that I get on my soapbox so much because trust me, when I play these videos back, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm such a negative Nancy. But then I'm just like, like literal junk is just being produced these days and it breaks my heart. So there's that. If anybody has seen the viral clip of Ralph Lauren talking about his Kmart button-down shirt that I think he bought in the 90s that is still standing and holding up, it stood the test of time, and how much he believes in infusing that integrity into all of his clothing, you'll quickly realize how much you should be in love with Ralph Lauren as a brand, as a label. It's just that classic Americana brand that I feel like we've like lost that nostalgia along the way, and it's one of those brands that I just continue to want to see thrive so badly because the message is there. Like it's built into the brand. Now, in my last video, I had to do multiple trips to Goodwill, and I think the same thing is going to happen in this video because yesterday I think I found a total of 2 items that I considered quality, and shockingly enough, they were vintage items, which totally adds up in my head. But we are now at Goodwill location number 2. We're gonna see what we can find today. Day 2 was already off to a good start. I found this Banana Republic new tags piece. It was behind the counter, so I knew it was gonna be very, very pricey. But I just so happened to see that it was a yellow tag. Yellow tag was half off. I mean, this piece originally was $800 and it is worth $800. Like that's how good of quality is built into a piece like this. I did take a look at a couple other pieces that I decided to pass on. I wanted to point out this Tommy Hilfiger dress as well, because again, this is like one of those unexpected mall brands. You know, you have these mall brands that just don't hold up brand wise anymore. Like people don't get excited about them. You know, they're not the new up and coming like it girl brand. They're just kind of the basics. But I will say that is where the pieces lie that have that quality built into it. That was kind of really the message with the first video that I put out, was like the quality lies in the unexpected. It's the pieces that are hyper trending that don't have the quality built into it. This belt is an older Fossil belt that I was so surprised by. If you're a millennial like myself, you probably remember seeing these belts just taking over. These were always made of a really cheap like pleather plastic material, and this just really blew me away. Like not only is it 100% leather, but the studded detail on it is so good. This is just one of those examples though of like, don't skip on the belts or accessories or anything like that. You can still find really good stuff like this at the thrift store. we are back. Now, this is a very small but mighty haul as per usual. That's kind of my thing around here. I definitely remember back in the day, I would go to the thrift store and pick up like 2 trash bags full of clothes. But I slowly learned over the years that so many of the things that I picked up in bulk just ended up not fitting in my wardrobe or finding a place. And 9 times out of 10, the reason that it didn't find that place is because the quality just lacked overall. Maybe I would wash it a couple more times and it was already worn because it was thrifted and secondhand. But because the quality just didn't hold up over time, it was something that I found myself so often just redonating items or just not getting the full use out of what I was purchasing. All in all though, I think niching down into quality over quantity has been one of the best decisions I have ever made financially as well as aesthetically. I do think my wardrobe has grown and evolved so much over time. And I mean, of course, I've aged quite a bit. I've been thrifting for most of my adult life. So it's definitely something that through the years, I've really honed in on my like talents or however you want to look at it. To me, this has just been such a good exercise in restraint as well as knowledge. So without further ado, let's jump into what I picked up. First, let's talk about this Ralph Lauren piece. This 100% cotton straight out of the gate, that's really what's gonna sell me on it. But I think the attention to detail, if you take a look at the stitching, you have some reinforced stitching around the ruffle details. That's something that definitely stood out to me. But one of my personal favorite things about this is it actually has a hidden button closure. This was definitely something that someone on the design team was like, hey, listen, tops like this don't always sit well. They're not always complimentary when it comes to like a wrap style finish. Someone's gonna have to safety pin this. Let's just add a button in so that it stays in place. And that to me tells me that there was intent in making this garment. They didn't just throw it together. I just love looking at the attention to details. I think the print, the pattern on it is also really beautiful. Like it just has this kind of vintage feel to it. It probably is a little bit older. I would say maybe mid 2000s based on the label. They did a really good job with reinforcing the buttons. The wrap detail is done very well. It's just overall a really beautifully made blouse. Next, let's talk about this belt that could easily double as a weapon because it is so heavy. It is 100% leather, so again, it's one of those pieces that attention to detail is there. The studding on it is really well done, but if you take a look at the etching on the metal, I think that's my personal favorite part. It just has, again, one of those attention to detail pieces that like, these are all grooves. Like they are etched into the metal. So it's just beautifully done. I did end up looking on Fossil's website to see if I could find anything similar, and they just don't have anything that comes even remotely close to this belt. So it is definitely one of those unique pieces that just really is like a time capsule kind of thing. Hands down, I think I really scored with this belt. It's a really good piece. Last but not least, the piece that just won me over, the $800 Banana Republic fringe skirt. This is just a Western dream. I cannot even begin to tell you how beautiful this piece is, but I do want to show you the lining, which is something that I always pay attention to, especially on leather pieces. Lining is so important, and you have to make sure that if you buy a leather piece, the lining matches all the way to the hemline. Because for me, if any part of the leather touches my skin, I am instantly gonna fall out of love with the piece. That is a very much personal preference, but lining is something that I always look for. I have the same rules when it comes to wool. I have to have some kind of lining in between me and the wool piece. I appreciate it for the warmth and utility aspect of it, but oh my gosh, lining is a must. Honestly, I have no notes about this piece as far as looking at the quality. I think you can just see it like with your own eyes. I will say though, the notes that I do have is this is just one of those perfect examples of you can still find quality at a thrift store if you're willing to look for it, but it is unfortunate that in some cases you have to pay up for it. I think this is just ultimately a good testament to why I love the thrill of the hunt. Like, you just never know what you're gonna find. There's so much good stuff still out there. Whether it's brand new or it's gently used, there are still so many things that you can find at the thrift store. I know for some people it's getting very frustrating, myself included, because sometimes it feels like you're just sifting through nonstop pieces of Shein and Temu and all of these brands that just don't care about what they're manufacturing. They have absolutely no intent with what they're putting out except for their bottom line. In a lot of ways, it feels so helpless, but I will say arming yourself with the knowledge of what quality actually looks like is the most important part of all. They're gonna keep manufacturing these pieces, and we're gonna keep sifting through them at the thrift store or at regular stores too at this point, because I know it's hit regular stores too. I think if you're willing to put in the time and the legwork to learn what good quality actually looks and feels like, it can make so much of a difference in your wardrobe as well as your like financial balance sheet, because you're gonna save yourself so much money and so much headache and loss of time over just buying literal garbage. So yeah, I hope at the end of the day, this video encouraged you to get out there and go find some quality clothes for yourself, because they are still out there. They do exist, I promise. You just have to dig a little deeper in some cases. If you found anything this week that you are absolutely loving quality-wise, please let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you picked up. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new around here, I might have a couple extra videos for you right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.